roll into our mentorship piece. We kind of want to be that those uncles or those little cousins to whoever needs that in regards to the topics that we're gonna address today. And Demarcus had some topics that was really good. He gonna kind of open us up in the first topic that he had. So Demarcus, I'll go ahead and let you take that.
Well, the first thing I guess it was posed as a question is, would have yeah, what we've learned from dads and father figures, dad figures, or whatever. And the reason I brought that up because I don't want it to get lost the influence of, uh, I guess, a dominant male in your life, the father figure in your life, father in your life. And we were talking before it started, the presence and the absence. Of course, the present has a more of a positive aspect, and the absence has a negative aspect. But I want fellas out there, young fathers, old fathers, like literally just being there in a child's life, especially the biological father, like just being there. There's so much that your child can gain from just being there. You ain't even got to be the most active, proactive, the heavy hitter, the most money making, like literally just being there so that they can understand their identity, understand the quirks of their self. They can even learn from the stuff that you're not great at. You don't have to be the best at everything. They can learn from stuff that you're not great at, and they can take whatever their level is and maturate it to a higher level just off of you being there. So I would just wanted to bring that up, just kind of be a light, put a light on uh, the pros and cons of a father, a dad figure, or male figure in young person's life, because it can grow into bigger problems when they get older that they don't understand, but especially in a young person's life.
I want to add to this real quick as far as some stats I saw, because when you talked about this, I looked at some stats, and it says so young children, right, growing up without a father, 4 times have greater risk of being in poverty, right? They're more likely to have behavior issues. They're 7 times more likely to become pregnant as teens.
Mm-hmm.
And then men who grew up with absent fathers are more likely to be absent fathers. And then women who grew up with absent fathers are more likely to have kids with absent fathers. So it's like a problem that perpetuates itself forever. It's like the fact that we as men choose to step out of the situation and don't be that mentor, be that guidance, be that light for our children, it will literally turn our children into the same issue for their children. And man, I know the twist I want to take on it is just the fact that it doesn't have to be biological. Like it doesn't have to be your kid when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to that presence, like you're talking about, just being there. It's just having someone strong that's a man there, like period.
Yeah,
Even
consistent,
then, go ahead.
consistent. No, I was just adding consistent. Be consistent.
Consistent, yeah. Even and I think this is even nowadays, in 2021, you got the dynamic of the homosexual relationship that is very present. You got 2 men, 2 women present a lot. And even in those situations, if you got 2 men, women, I still think it's important that there's a man consistently around for a young man or woman. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people probably thinking like, man, well, we don't need no, you need that. We need both. We need both because there's just certain things that are hard to receive. For like personally, it's hard for me. It was hard for me to receive from my mom. There were certain messages that just wouldn't hit home from my mom. But if my dad was to say it, or if one of my mentors was to say it, or my coaches was to say it, it was a totally different ball game. It was like I was hanging on to their every word because they looked like me. It felt like I could become that. Even though I knew my mama, who I love so much, was trying to give me the good information, it just felt different when I knew that you were who I could eventually become. Like it's like you literally are built like me in regards to our makeup. So I'll let y'all kind of add to that in regards to y'all's mindsets behind that.
I just think, like DeMarcus said, like the respect you have for women, it comes from how you see your dad treat, what I'm saying, a woman.
Yeah.
Or the first relationship you probably see is your dad and your mom, or your dad and his wife, or your mom and her. You know what I'm saying? So that first relationship you see, that's what you learn from. If they're respectful
Mm-hmm.
to each other, even if your parents are divorced and they you know, they can co-parent, they respect each other. You learn how to respect the other sex, you know. So just having, like you said, having both around, being consistent, being respectful to each other, you learn like, oh, that's how you're supposed to treat a woman. You know, oh, that's a woman knows, oh, that's you make a plate for a man or something, you know, like just being respectful. So having both around just kind of teaches you as a kid, you grow up, you looking at it, you see an example of what you can do or what you should do, you know. And then like DeMarcus said, learning from mentors, even like DeMarcus said, even saying some of the wrong things, you know how to be like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Or like being around my granddad and he's saying, hey, you don't talk when I'm around my friends, when I'm talking to y'all and we just saying whatever, you don't talk like that in front of women. Like just hearing that, just knowing that. It's just certain stuff you learn from having a man around, having a mentor. Like, hey, there's different things you do around women that you can do with your homeboys. So that's just my take on it.
Absolutely.
Totally
Absolutely.
agree with that. Totally agree. I agree with everything y'all saying. Really, I think you can just put it all together ultimately. Like with just what Jarrell just said, everything that you take from any kind of male in your life, right? A lot of your character traits, period, could be positive, it could be negative, but a lot of your character traits you get from that. And I think that's really important on how you grow. DeMarcus said consistency, right? You do have to see a consistent figure there. And whether it's the paternal figure, your biological dad, I like just when he asked that question, he said, like, what he wrote to us was, what did you learn from dad/father figure, right? And at first I had just saw from dad, and I was like, man, like, I thought about my granddad, both of my grandfathers, and I'm like, man, I got a lot of people that I've learned from, right? So all of that goes hand in hand, man. You have to have good role models and influences around.
Yeah. And I want to add to that too. Like another part of it is like Jay Jones brought it up as far as like, learning how to treat women from the men in your life. And I know for a fact that's big. And women learn how to be treated by a man from seeing that example. You know what I'm saying? Like they see that, oh, men are supposed to open doors for women. You know what I'm saying? Learning to respect themselves. It's crazy how much different it is when I've been in like the dating world and kind of been out and met women, like women that had dads around, how much more expecting they were of certain things. Like there's certain stuff they just wasn't going for. And it's because their dad was in their life. So it's like, I know if you ain't doing it like my dad was doing it, then I can move around and I have a certain level of respect for myself that I carry. And I'm not saying that women that don't have dads are just, doing whatever, but I'm saying just more often than not, you'll see if a man's around and he's treating his daughter with that type of respect and showing her how a man is supposed to move, then she don't go for everything, man. Like that stat coming 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen. It's like, man, it just blows your mind. It blows your mind. It's like, man, it's almost like they're yearning for that so bad that they'll just take something. They'll just take something from any of the opposite sex just to kind of receive that love. So I think that's critical, man. And Jay Jones, we talked about the single mom deal. Like single moms got to be sure to be conscious of who's around the babies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard because you're a single mom, even if you get a kid early, but once you get that kid, you got to be conscious about that opposite sex relationship. Vice versa with dads and moms, you know what I'm saying? Dads and women. Like I'm a single dad. I'm always protective of my daughter's space when it comes to women because she idolizes them. So if I'm bringing women around, I got to be conscious of what type of women I'm bringing around because it's a natural role model type of relationship immediately, like off the jump. Like if she knows I care about her, then she cares about it. So that's just something to kind of think about as well. But we can kind of segue. We can segue the second quarter of this bad boy. So DeMarcus, what you had on the next topic, brother?
Leadership, leadership and admiration versus mistake and being misled. I was personally correlating that to the same umbrella topic of being there as a dad. Like we kind of spoke on it, just the leadership, as in how you treat women, but even just in the pure basis of a man, as far as work ethic, roles, things you do as a man. You can be a leader to your children, to childlike figures, even without speaking to them. I think people need to understand that too. I was mostly speaking to like the men, young fathers, old fathers, people who are not fathers. Like, understand your value, understand your worth, and understand your influence. Because with leadership comes a lot of influence. You can lead somebody to do great things. You know, you've heard. Let's take Shaq for instance. You know, Shaq didn't have the best relationship with his father, right? But his stepdad, he gives a lot of credit to, that he was hard on him. He had a military background, but he taught him so much. And look where Shaq has elevated his life to, because of that leadership. And you can also be misled. You can have people who didn't have fathers, or had people who weren't trying to be the best influence or didn't care. Take DMX. You know, DMX said he had a guy that he entrusted like a father, but then he introduced him to drugs, hard drugs. And yeah, he might have made a lot of money in a monetary sense. People might feel that's success, but overall, it hurt him through the rest of his life because of the misleading acts of somebody he chose as a strong role model in his life. So that's why I brought that topic up.
Mm. I got a question for you though, DeMarcus, with that topic. So like as a youngster, right? I'm 13, 12. How do I discern leadership, who I should follow as this type of leadership so I'm not misled? Because I think a lot of times we look at who's either most popular, got the most money, maybe seems cool to me, right? How do I discern? How do I choose? Like, what do you think? I guess that's my question. Like,
That's a very difficult for somebody that's uh 12, 13, because they're so impressionable. Like you said, with money, lifestyle, glitz and glam, what they may put as high value, or things that they don't have, they wish they did have, as really, really hard for somebody of that age and not being mature in the mindset to discern who to follow.
so you think it's the
I
job
think,
of the parents?
well, you got to have that guidance. You know, you might have somebody in your life that you don't really realize that you're following all that as a leadership, but you got to have that guidance. I want to put it this way. I guess I kind of use it. They have a track star right now that didn't make it to the Olympics, right? She ran a race. She talked a lot before the race, ran the race, lost the race, talked a lot after the race. Me, I feel like somebody in that situation, when you have that person real close to you that has your trust, they can pull you and say, hey, you know, you need to correct this, that, and the third. Just like you may like you might like the baby or a rapper right now. But if you have that person that's real close to you, like, okay, that's entertainment. Let me reel you back in and show you something. That's why I say it's hard for somebody that's impressionable to have the discernment to know who to follow. I think it's more for the opposite to be able to influence uh, in a positive way. Well, like I said, you can influence in a negative way too, but influence in a positive way.
So the charge
Yeah.
is on the influence. The charge is on the influence. Then you saying that the influencer is in charge of that situation, right? Is that what you're saying? Because like this is why I'm taking. Go ahead, Nate. If you about to say something, come.
I think you were right on what you said when you asked the question. I think it comes down to the parenting, or at least the early exposure, right? When
Yeah.
you're talking about discernment, that's really not something I think that you can truly be taught. You have to be shown examples and talked to about it, and you kind of build that for yourself,
Yeah,
right?
like
So as a young kid, I mean, it's discerning, like, do I want to be dumb if I keep putting my hand on the hot stove, right? My mama gonna take me over and say, well, look, it's hot, you burned yourself, let's figure this out. When you see the fire, don't touch it. Now you can discern, don't touch fire, right?
Yeah.
But you continue to grow with those things. So I think it's really upbringing to a certain point. When you get to 12 or 13, yeah, like DeMarcus saying, it's very impressionable. But we were all 12 or 13, and we could have chose to be in the streets, sell dope, do whatever, like some people did. Maybe that's just what you were predisposed to. But there were choices. There's plenty of people who weren't predisposed to that, who chose to go and do it, right? So that kind of comes with growth. That I think definitely comes from parenting or grandparents, family members, just people that you're around. Even, I mean, with being educators, right? If you're in school, your teachers not necessarily there to teach you your moral compass, but you get some kind of talks about that. Hey, don't talk about people in class, things like that. Now you can discern that it's not cool to be a bully, right?
Yeah. And
Just quick,
like y'all saying, oh, go ahead.
keep your thought real quick. I just
Okay.
have to look it up so I can put it out there. Discernment is the ability to judge well. I just real quick. I don't want you to lose your thought, Gerald, but I think that comes like kind of like what Nate was saying, or to add to what Nate was saying. I think that comes with experience. So I just want to say that. Go ahead, Gerald.
No, I was just saying, like, basically what y'all saying. I can think about when I was 12 and 13, and it was my upbringing. It was what I was taught because I knew right from wrong, you know? So I could see the baby or whoever. I could see juvenile and everybody throwing money at women and calling bees and all types of stuff. But I still had that voice in my head and said, that's not right. I mean, it's cool. It's kind of cool to watch. I might laugh at it. I might play Grand Theft Auto, steal cars, you know what I'm saying? But in my head, in real life, I had that voice in my head saying, that's not right. So, you know, Jarrell, don't do that. You know, people drinking, doing drugs at 12, 13, but Jarrell, that's not right. So I think it is the upbringing because my upbringing was I listened to the people that taught me, hey, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. I didn't have to try it. It was like, okay, I trust these people. They're my family. Now, if my family taught me wrong, maybe I would have been out there doing everything wrong. But I think it's the family, the people you trust, the people you build trust with. So I know some people out there, some young kids don't have the right influences in their life. And that's when people judge them, is they don't even know what they've been through. That's the hard part of life. They don't even know the right way sometimes. They think the right way is selling drugs. That's the only way to some people. So like I say, I think it's who you trust, how you were brought up. So.
Yeah. And I want to add to that too. Because like we were talking about the discernment, DeMarcus, like with the ability to judge well. So that my ability to be able to judge is going to be increased from my experiences, right? My experience bank. And when talking about my experiences, if my experiences to trust, like Jay Jones is saying, is I trust drug dealers because drug dealers protect me, then my moral compass becomes compromised when it comes to my trust. I don't trust other people other than drug dealers because drug dealers are the ones that have protected me. So when I go into this school system and these teachers are trying to teach me, they haven't saved me, they haven't fed me, they haven't clothed me. The streets did that. So how you gonna sit here and tell me what's best for me? And that kind of makes it fuzzy for me to be able to discern and say what I should or should not be doing. And I think it even gets, there's certain athletes I know of that were actually pushed through school by the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because the streets really took them in. It was like, you're not gonna be like us.
Exactly.
So it's almost like it really comes down to I think it's the charges on us, like we was talking about with the influence. I think the charges on us as men that are in positions where we have honest jobs, we care about people, we're trying to do what's best. I think we have to make sure that we duplicate ourselves. Not saying that people that don't do what we're doing is wrong. Go ahead.
I'm gonna hold you right there though, because it's really just me, like what we started talking about, right? Because you said it that way. It's those in the street who gonna still tell you right from wrong.
Yeah.
It's those in the street who got a better moral compass than those in presidential offices at point, right?
Thanks.
So it's not about necessarily the route he chose, because they gonna tell you, hey man, you ain't got to be like me, whatever. But you can learn. That's what you want to call it, a gentleman code, a man standard, whatever it is that you want to say. If dudes are around like that, they can show you right from wrong. It's when you're around people who don't have that same kind of a standard about themselves, right? Yeah. And when you're influenced by that, that's where you see people really go awry. Like, I mean, discernment, if you see over and over, even if you a street dude, you go at some point be able to discern a real junkie from a cop because you done been through it enough, right? You done been around the block and you done seen a few things. Yeah. So however you get your experience, the discernment, like DeMarcus said, by definition, it's about good judgment, right? You have to see other people display good judgment to figure it out. If you're around people who constantly are choosing wrong, chances are you're going to choose wrong too.
Judgment is specific to your situation. I want to add that to that. So when we say good judgment, if I'm in a certain position and I got, you know, say if I'm in the streets, my judgment, my good judgment looks different than if I'm not in the streets and having
Absolutely.
good judgment. And I think that's something we got to also add to it. Like there's good people everywhere that kind of get caught in bad situations and they just got to make something shake. And I believe in that. I believe there's good people everywhere, but I think we have to make sure that we play the odds game. Like everything's a numbers game. Like we should be able to be logical thinkers and say, if I'm in the streets, there's a percentage of people that make it out of this, and I know that I'm not going to be on the winning side of that. Like I'm not going into it. I'm not. But if I decide to go the school route, there's a percentage of people that's, you know, it's a little higher for me to be able to at least take the next step. At least take the next step. And you just got to know. And I think it's important that no matter where you get your mentorship from as a youngster, it's like that mentorship, you have to, and I say it's hard for a youngster to think like this, but they have to be able to say like, man, like, is this who I want to become?
Right.
Is this person who I want to become? That's it. Is DeMarcus still here?
I think DeMarcus got mad and left the building.
No,
we messed up his topic or something.
Yeah,
he didn't like it.
I don't know. So he bounced out of here. Wow. I think he got he just bounced out.
Good buddy didn't like the topic, so he done.
He probably jumped back in. But man, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's important though, like, you know, a youngster gotta know, like, do I really want to become this person? Do I really want to become these people? Are these people gonna make up my circle and make me a better person? Because y'all got people that y'all talk about, y'all admire, that's in y'all family. You watch them. The greatest teacher is an example. It ain't something that somebody gonna say. It's gonna be something that you saw. Because if you ain't got the experience, you gotta see the experience so you can learn that way. So that's what I feel like.
No, for real.
Real talk. But while DeMarcus is figuring his way back here, I guess Jay Jones, you got the topics, right?
I got the topics.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get them rolling.
I don't have the topics. Oh, I do have the topics. I just got to get them now.
It's in the text message. Or in the Google.
Got them right here. So what we did talk about next was the acceptance of DNA. So with the acceptance of DNA, I'm assuming he meant like the acceptance of...
Did you see DeMarcus text?
What did he say?
Spectrum.
He got the service outage.
Spectrum service alert. There's a service outage. Oh man, that's tragic. We lost him. And we lost him.
And for this commercial break, we are not sponsored by Spectrum.
We are not sponsored by Spectrum.
To internet sponsorship. So if you would like to advertise for Wi-Fi, home and business, please contact Kerry.
Man. Please contact Kerry. Contact me. Man. So we can run into it though. Acceptance of DNA though. What y'all think about that? I mean, as far as like accepting your DNA. Jay Jones, you had told me something about that beforehand.
I wish DeMarcus was here for this. So DeMarcus and I were brothers, got the same dad, but I didn't meet DeMarcus till DeMarcus was probably 11 or 12 years old. Now like he said, he saw our dad, and DeMarcus had some ways about him that he never knew why he was like that. So I wish he could tell y'all the story because he could tell it better. But he said like certain things he did, he didn't know why he did them. He was like, but when he saw our dad, it was kind of like, you're the faces you make, while you fist ball up, just stuff that our dad does. He understood it. So, and even me, like I was talking to Kerry earlier about the health tip. I know a lot of people in my family have diabetes, so it's certain ways I have to move, certain things I have to eat. I work out 5 days a week, just certain things I do. So I don't end up with diabetes. I'm predisposed. I mean, it's in my DNA, like we're saying. It's there. Now, what are you going to do to change it? Mm-hmm. So that's how people you just need to, you really, knowing your family history kind of helps you know how to move, know your attitude, just know everything, a little more about yourself. It helps you learn yourself. So I think knowing your DNA is beneficial.
And it helps you break them generational curses too.
And it does that.
Because I know that's something that, like we were talking about earlier, like a lot of times in families, there's stuff that goes on for years and years and years. The family sees it as normal, and it never stops. It doesn't stop anywhere. The line, like it's like you always have a point in your life as a youngster or going into your young adulthood where you have a chance to draw the line in the sand and say it stops here, whatever that may be, alcoholism, absentee ism as a father. DeMarcus back, he on his iPhone. But it could be welcome back to the party.
Sponsored by Apple
Hey,
iPhone.
DeMarcus,
Sponsored by
DeMarcus,
Apple.
we was talking about DNA, and I was saying how you said earlier about like when you met Dad, and you were like, I didn't know certain things about myself until I saw our dad. Is like, oh, that's why I do that. That's why I make that face. That's why I ball up my fist. That's why I have anger issues. You know, stuff like that. You can explain it better.
Can you hear you?
Did you hear anything I said?
Well,
Oh.
Man, he was saying, go ahead. He was saying that you could explain about your meeting your dad, like the situation
The
about
DNA
when
thing, like you said, you used to.
accepting DNA.
Yeah, you used to have things you didn't know about yourself until you saw Dad, and you were like, oh, you know, that's why I do things. You know, certain things. Ball up your fist.
oh yeah.
Anger issues. Yeah. So you tell the
I
story.
had-
I was trying to, but you.
oh no, just there's some things like I didn't know why I had inside. It's like a inside. It's control, but it's like an inside rage about myself. Why I gritted my teeth. Why I did certain things. You like. I had my stepfather, and it was cool. But there's some things I just didn't. You just don't understand about yourself. Like you don't understand why you do certain things. You don't understand why your hair is a certain way. Why my eyes are so like literally. I got teased about my eyes being so big, like all my elementary life, and then I met my dad, and it was like you start seeing stuff that's like you. You know, like my brother had eyes, my sister had eyes, my dad has eyes, his dad has eyes. Like, oh, okay. Then it's not. It's not. It's a part of it. Becomes a part of making your identity stronger about your own self because you know more about your own self. And there's some things that it's like, okay, I can improve on this. I know I can do this, or I know that I might grow up looking this way, or if I keep eating like this, I might fall in line with diabetes, or I might fall in line with certain type of thing, high blood pressure, or certain type of things that your family history might be. Like when you know those things about yourself, you get to jump on those things and you can educate yourself and you can be better. Or some people try so hard not to be like their parents that they don't understand the makeup of it, but they end up becoming just like them. Like it's so powerful and so strong what identity and DNA does for a person, good and bad. But the understanding of knowing who you are empowers you in so many different ways that it can cause you and can help you to break through levels in your life, break through barriers, break through everything.
Yeah.
Now, DeMarcus. Now, when you left the building, I thought your time had ran out. I thought you was going to get that dinner plate. I thought it was. I thought
I
you wasn't
sent y'all
coming back.
messages against Spectrum
Yeah, I
says
saw
about
it.
it.
Thought it was 8 o'clock. It was time to go eat.
He just cut out. He finna leave, so I might as well cut out myself.
Nah, man. But on some real stuff, though, I love what you said. Knowledge of self is big. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Knowledge of self. Because if you know yourself, then you could get through everything. I mean, there's nothing you're not gonna make a way through. Like knowing my dad's pitfalls and things that he was strong at definitely added to my repertoire of strengths, man. Like I was able to build on it. Like it's like, man, like, oh, it's okay. This is why I am able to be hyper and have a lot of energy because my dad's the same way. Like he got to stay active and he got to do different things so he can stay focused. Like doing a million things actually helps him be focused. Same here. And those types of things, when we learn that stuff about our DNA, it does aid us. And you know, like I was saying before, we got into talking about what you were saying, DeMarcus. Like alcoholism runs rampant in some of my family as well. So I know that was something that like I had to keep an eye on. Like, you know, it wasn't you can't I'm not just gonna be the one to go out drinking with my friends on a consistent basis because I know if I do, I might go down a rabbit hole. And it's just, I mean, you gotta know yourself. You gotta know yourself.
Exactly.
So yeah. Know yourself. What they say, Art of War, Sun Tzu. Know yourself and fear not 100 battles or something like that. I forget what it
My
was.
Nate look like Suge Knight right now.
Shit.
My Nate, the angle, he just got it. Strike up in jail pose.
They like, yeah. He knows
What
something.
you think about it, Nate?
I agree with it. I mean, I don't really know what else it is to say other than you really don't have a choice. So you might as well accept it. Like,
Yeah.
not going to change it. So,
No.
but like y'all are saying, it's good to know about what came before you, right? Just getting to know your parents. And that's why it's important for people to be there at the end of the day, right? That's why it come all the way back around. Instead of having you questioning and wondering and maybe not knowing something about yourself, and you know, all right.
And I would want to add something in closing on this. If you are afraid, if you are afraid of meeting someone that is blood to you for whatever reason, find a way to break through that fear and go and reach out or go and actually make that connection because it'll change your life forever. I've seen so many different cases where that's done that, and it kind of breaks people free of those chains of just the what if, what I don't know, why not? Like if it's you have a son out there somewhere, a daughter out there, go find them. Like go make that connection because they need you. Because you're gonna do so much for that person. And if you can't find that person, then find a really good substitute.
Mm-hmm.
If they behind bars or they gone forever, find a substitute. Find somebody that can, you can give that light to. So big fact.
Each one teach one.
Yep. And if you have a child out there, I'm telling you, give the gift of yourself. I don't care how bad your life
take care of your kids.
Give the gift.
What'd you say?
No, I was saying give the gift of yourself. No matter how bad you think you are, how good you think you are.
Take care of your responsibilities, you bum.
Nate, that's Nate. I expect that from Nate. So,
DeMarcus, that one, because look,
for real.
I feel that one is one that we can't sugarcoat, right? I see a lot of times, like on social media, a lot on Twitter, I see realistically women asking men to hold other men accountable. And so, ladies, this is what I'm doing. Stop being bums. Sorry, bum.
Period.
There we go. Mic drop. Mic drop. Mic drop.
No, DeMarcus said the nice way.
Hold on. Huh? I got a mic.
That's a nice mic too.
I said DeMarcus said the nice way, like you look.
Hey man, give the gift to yourself. Whichever perspective you want to look, stop being a bum. Give the gift to yourself. I don't care what you've done in your life, to your children, to the people you can influence. Give the gift to yourself. Whatever knowledge you got, every man wants to teach a man. I read that in not Art of War, and what's the 50 Cent book that he took from another guy?
Don't be a father like 50 Cent.
No, I'm saying
the book.
The book. What is it called? Nate, what's the book? Gary, what's the book?
No idea. I have no idea.
The 48 laws of power.
48 laws of power.
The 48 laws of power. Every man wants to teach a man. Like literally, every man wants to teach a man. Teach your own.
The one you had, you bum.
Yeah. Because you got a young man coming up. He's missing a whole side of himself. He's missing a whole young lady missing a whole side of herself. They just like trying to figure it out, trying to fill that void with different stuff, be it media content, which is crazy to let them fill that void with, or the influence of their peers, which are confused as well because of the day and age that we in. It's just like, just show up and just be there. So you can at least, be a sounding board to bounce off of, be that hugging person to come and comfort them, whatever they need, just be around.
Even if, like kind of to go coincide with Nate said, if you are that mom, you haven't been there, right? Never been there. At least let them be, like I say, be the gift. At least let them be able to ask you questions. Before you perish from this earth, let them ask you questions. Why you weren't there. Let them hear your side of the story. And then try to develop some type of relationship to where they can learn who they are from you. There's a reason why that episode on Fresh Prince was so powerful and one of the most memorable episodes on Fresh Prince. It's because a lot of us go through that. And on that episode, he was, I guess, a teenager, a grown man, hugging a teddy bear that his dad left him, because that's how much of an influence you can be. Be a gift. Don't be a bum, be a gift.
Bingo. And hey, if you know, you know. But
You should put that on the shirt. Don't be a bum, be a gift. Don't be a
DeMarcus,
bum. Be a bum.
can a bum give a gift?
Don't be a bum, be a light.
There you
Shirt
go.
number 2 is Big Slogan.
Don't be a bum. Hey, but man, thank y'all, man. Y'all been a light. Y'all been a gift. Y'all been all of that. And hopefully we touched, somebody, touched somebody's spirit, been a light, and been able to help them ascend to that next dimension. So we out.